Okay, so this is me responding to a old Steve Shives video. Long-term viewers will know that Steve Shives is one of my favorite YouTubers and also one of my least favorite YouTubers. Maybe you'll find out why in this video. But his Star Trek shit is actually awesome. It's like, it's worth him being this much of a dick that to still be subscribed to catch the good Star Trek stuff. Let's make it full screen. Fucking full screen. Oh yeah, what's interesting, this video's got like 8,000 views, but it's got like 3 or 4 comments. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Like, imagine you got a video of 8,000 views and there's only 3 comments. What do you think? What do you think's happened there?
Remember back when there wasn't a pandemic? Actually, no. You know what? Knock that shit off. It's that sort of yearning for normality that has compelled a lot of us to just start acting like the pandemic is over, which has, in turn,
Just bearing in mind, this was like 2021, 29th of December.
prolonged and worsened the pandemic and made it even more difficult to get to a point where we can safely return to normal. And when I say that it's compelled a lot of us to...
Hang on, sir. I think I missed something there.
Normality that has compelled a lot of us to just start acting like the pandemic is over, which has, in turn, prolonged and worsened the pandemic and made it even more difficult to get to a point...
Show me the study. Like, what the fuck? That's a massive assumption, isn't it?
where we can safely return to normal. And when I say that it's compelled a lot of us to start acting that way,
You know what, like, really affected normal life was legislation and laws and stuff like locking shit down. That's what actually affected normal life.
I don't just mean us ordinary folks out in the street. By the way, I hope you have a good reason for being out in the street and that you're masked and practicing social distancing.
Yeah, how dare you go out in the fucking street as a free citizen? How dare you?
Because, you know, pandemic, still a thing. I also mean elected officials and other prominent political figures, people who, in theory, though disappointingly seldom in practice, are supposed to set an example for the rest of us. Obviously, I'm talking about Republicans who have done nothing but deny and downplay the seriousness of COVID since the pandemic began, many of whom have also eagerly spread conspiracy theories regarding the virus, the vaccines.
Oh, how dare they? And also, how did they? I was alive back at this time. It was pretty difficult for any dissenting opinion on what was happening. Absolutely difficult, because YouTube, well, the news obviously would basically go with one idea. It's the end of the world. We need to lock everything down. And YouTube would ban anyone that didn't agree with that or said, hang on, we'll look at these numbers, or what about this? No, like, channels deleted. Susan, rest in peace, Susan herself said that she banned and deleted over 1 million accounts. It was either videos or accounts, or both. Happily, completely controlled the discourse where there was no, what do you call it? Yeah, checks and balances. That didn't exist.
Various measures government has taken to respond to the outbreak, but the Democrats, including the Biden administration, haven't exactly been knocking it out of the park either. Now, don't misunderstand me here. The Biden administration has handled the pandemic way, way, way better than Trump and his cohort of dipshit.
I'll be honest, man, I don't really know what was going on in America, and I've got no comment on that. I'm not American. I don't really know what happened there. I heard there was some mandates on, like, military people. That's the only thing that I really heard about.
There's no comparison. We're in much safer hands now than we were when all this began nearly 2 years ago. But that's not really saying much, is it? If you look at a graph of new cases, you'll see that things are way better now than they were this time last year, but you'll also see that they're way worse now than they were this past spring and summer. I'm not saying the dramatic increase in the
I'm pretty sure at this time it wasn't the alpha variant anymore. It was the one that was kind of a little bit more not as hardcore, you know? What does that graph even mean?
number of new cases these last few weeks is all Biden's fault. Of course it's not. But he did basically tell us to get out there and enjoy ourselves over the summer, which, to a country suffering from an extreme case of pandemic fatigue, sounded a lot like permission to act like the pandemic was over and go back to normal. I was guilty.
Like, fuck, imagine, like, going back to normal, you know? I'd like to, I don't know, I'd like to, like, sit down with a statistician, you know, because I'm not a statistician. And just, these would be my questions, okay? Like, what's the best case scenario for the people that were saved from the COVID thing? Even forgetting hindsight, what could be the best case scenario? Then, like, we're talking about fatality or whatever, you know, morbidity, that shit, right? Then, look at what did happen and go, okay, how many people died as a result of lockdowns? Because of mental health issues, because of turn to drugs. The poverty that might not have affected people in some countries, but affected people a lot in other countries where entire industries kind of ground to a halt. And there was no money coming in for families. How many people died as a result of that? That kind of shit, like, was it good or bad? Can a statistician look back and prove, well, yeah, we've got this many people dying because of other shit, like not access to healthcare, like you can't go and see your doctor. Those kind of things that were not actually the virus, but a direct result of government planning in various countries.
This myself. During the summer, when things seemed relatively safe and life had returned to some semblance of what it had been prior to the COVID outbreak, I got comfortable going to the grocery store without a mask. I stopped being careful about social distancing.
How dare you?
Now, I don't really go out all that much anyway, so it's not like I went to any concerts or crowded bars, but still, I fell into a post-COVID mindset. I got my vaccine booster as soon as it was available, and I continued.
Fucking gimp. Wait. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
To shake my head disapprovingly when I'd see or hear about large gatherings of unmasked people. But for the most part, I assumed we were pretty much over it and started acting accordingly. So did a lot of us. We were all...
I'd assumed we're pretty much over it before it even happened, to be fair. But I'm crazy, right?
So eager for it to be over that as soon as we got something that we could interpret as an all-clear signal from the powers that be, we forgot all about masking, social distancing, all of that.
Masking, has it been proven to be even slightly effective in any way? Come on, anyone who disagrees with me, put some links in the fucking description that masks did anything, especially the shitty masks that everyone was using. Did it do anything? I do know that there was some tests in schools in England where some school wasn't masked and some school was masked, and there was pretty much no difference. And like, kids are the worst at making each other get shit right.
Or at least got way more easygoing about it. Those of us who had been taking it seriously up to that point, that is, because there were also those who...
If you were taking it seriously up to that point, I'm not judging you, but I think you were hoodwinked and in a way pretty naive. I'd love to be naive though, because maybe being naive is better than being cynical, right?
Never wore masks or socially distanced or got vaccinated and seemed to regard the pandemic, which has killed 810,000 people in the United States and over 5 million people worldwide.
It depends on how you actually quantify that. Was it people that would have died anyway of the flu? Was it people who died that had a gunshot to the heart, but they're tested positive for COVID. Like, how do you even say that? How many people didn't die from other flus that year that would have died anyway? It's complete craziness to say that, in my opinion. And yeah, like I one thing I did do where I was living, people, especially elderly people, if I went out in public, like to a market or something, I would wear a mask, not because I thought it worked, just to put the elderly people's minds at rest, basically.
To date as a personal imposition. Combine their ignorant recklessness with how quickly many of the rest of us abandoned pandemic-related precautions, and it's no wonder COVID came roaring back in the fall. So, what do we do about it? Well, I think we need to answer that question using two different senses of we. First, there's what we...
Is he gonna say like just like lock everyone up, let everyone fuck their businesses, lose their jobs, lose their relationships and mental health for the greater good? Is that what he's gonna say? I don't know.
Each of us as individuals can do. And second, there's what we as a society can do about it through the institutions that we theoretically control and which are supposed to be acting in our interests. As for what we in the first sense, ourselves as individuals can do, it's...
Look, I can get that like Steve Shives could have made a video at this time because he was sort of blinkered. But if I'd been him and I'd made a video like this at that time, like, okay, it's 2025 now. I'd at least be making a video going, you know what? I was fucking wrong.
Pretty simple. We can and should do the same sorts of things we should have been doing this entire time. Avoid large groups of people when possible. Avoid travel when possible. Wear a mask when out in public, particularly when you're indoors.
As I said before, these maybe work. Maybe everyone wears a mask will work. Maybe everyone does this will work. Maybe everyone gets the vaccine will work. Pretty much none of that worked. What did actually kill people, absolutely, was a lack of access to healthcare, isolation, mental health issues, addictions, and poverty was a big thing. Might not feel it in some countries, but poverty, when businesses and tourism closed down, people right on the edge got pushed below the edge.
Practice social distancing when possible. Make sure that you're vaccinated and boosted, and encourage
Now, make sure you're vaccinated and boosted and encourage everyone else to get it. I think that's what he's about to say.
Possible. Make sure that you're vaccinated and boosted, and encourage everyone in your household and who you have to regularly interact with to do the same. And if you think you might have contracted COVID-19...
Okay, so like we're in 2025 now. Can anyone please link in the description if there's been any study that proved that it stopped transmission? Can anyone do that?
Get tested as soon as possible. Here in the United States, the CDC says that everyone age 5 and older can get vaccinated against COVID-19, and
Yeah, like 5 and older. Do you know why I didn't get vaccinated? Because I looked at some of the initial risks of the COVID shit, and at my age bracket, which is pretty fucking old, by the way, it was like tiny. This is like their data, you know? The risk of hospitalization and death was so small. I was like, well, I'm not going to take that risk against something I don't know, right? But if you looked at the risks for younger people, this is like before this is like right at the start of the rollout and shit. It's like, for young people, it was nothing. So why the fuck would you be giving it to 5-year-olds when you don't know what the fuck it's going to do to them? Fuck Steve Shives, man.
When 16 and older who completed their vaccination course at least 6 months ago for Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, or...
Well, let's just say, let's just go back. He was saying 5-year-olds should take it. On what fucking evidence?
COVID-19, and everyone 16 and older who completed their vaccine...
I want to hear him say that again. Fucking can't.
Regularly interact with to do the same. And if you think you might have contracted COVID-19, get tested as soon as possible. Here in the United States, the CDC says that everyone age 5 and older can get vaccinated against COVID-19, and everyone 16 and older who completed their vaccination course at least 6 months ago for Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, or 2 months ago for the Johnson.
And do you remember as well, they were like mixing it, you know? How could they have done research into mixing it? How could they have had enough time to do research into, well, your first ones are Pfizer and your second ones are AstraZeneca, and then your boosters are Moderna. Do you know what I mean? Like, the different things, aren't they? How could they recommend that?
Johnson & Johnson vaccine can get a booster shot. Unless you have a medical condition that prevents you from doing so, get vaccinated and...
Yeah, my medical condition is reasonably healthy and strong. So that would rule me out, right?
Boosted if you haven't already. The COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. That doesn't mean...
How does he know? He's a Star Trek guy. He's fucking awesome at Star Trek. I'll give him that. He is, in my opinion, the #1 authority on Star Trek and how he presents his Star Trek coverage. He's an expert there. He knows fuck all about vaccines. He knows less than me, probably. And he's like, no, it's safe and effective. How the fuck does he know? It's not been around long enough.
They don't have side effects.
Bearing in mind, this was like basically close to midnight on New Year's Eve 2021.
Or are 100% free from risks. It means that the risks are mostly low and rare and far outweighed by the benefits. If you are able to get vaccinated...
What benefits? I'm sorry, am I crazy? Can anyone link down below the benefits? Okay, it's hindsight, fair enough, but what were the benefits exactly of getting it?
And choosing not to for whatever reason, you are placing yourself and everyone you come into contact with at higher risk. And
no, fuck it. At best, you could be putting yourself at high risk. But if someone else is getting the vaccine and it works, how is me not getting it putting them at risk, really? If it works, fuck Steve Shives, man.
Contributing to the prolonging of this pandemic. So cut the shit and get the shot. Do us all a favor.
So it's sorry. The reason it's being prolonged is because of the people not getting the shot. Basically, shut the fuck up and take the shot is what he's saying. Literally almost word for word.
Do us all a favor. Turning to that other we, that...
I need to hear that again.
Or are 100% free from risks. It means that the risks are mostly low and rare and far outweighed by the benefits.
Bullshit.
If you are able to get vaccinated and choosing not to for whatever reason, you are placing yourself and everyone you come into contact with at higher risk and contributing to the prolonging of this pandemic. So
contributing to the prolonging. It's my fault because I don't want to take something that I don't fucking think is being tested properly.
The shit and get the shot. Do us all a favor. Turning to that other we, that we the people we, things get a wee bit more complicated. The Biden administration has done a good job with some things, distributing vaccines widely, issuing vaccine mandates requiring millions of Americans to either get vaccinated or submit to regular COVID testing, supporting and amplifying public...
Well, I don't know exactly about the US, but I think some of the mandates were take it or lose your job. I mean, in New Zealand and shit, it was like that. But as far as I know, in America, some things was like, take it or lose your job. I might be wrong on that.
Public health organizations like the CDC, rather than contradicting and undermining them, as was common practice under the previous administration, that's all great. But there's more that the federal government can and should be doing. Back in October, the Government Accountability Office, a nonpartisan agency of the legislative branch of the U.S. federal government, issued its most recent report on the federal response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In that report, it lists 16 recommendations for additional executive action, including measures that would allow the government to better distribute COVID-related relief funds that have already been allocated by Congress.
That's cool, like relief, like, you know, if people are sick, give them some relief, that's fine. I don't know exactly what this bill was. If it was like to help sick people, I'm all for it, great.
Trust that those recommendations are necessary and would yield positive results if followed, but they're also fairly narrow and aimed at improving things the government is already doing. In addition to fine-tuning the federal response as it is, Congress could and should pass additional legislation to authorize more stimulus checks to be sent to those still struggling to make ends meet during the pandemic. I know the argument against...
I can agree with that, because like if you start closing businesses down, locking people up and stopping them go to work, then yeah, like you should maybe give those people money. But I don't know, this is America, I don't know, I can't really comment on American politics, but I know like places like New Zealand like fucked loads of people and loads of business up, but they did at least pay people like 80% of their wages and stuff.
That will be, but that's so expensive. But that's kind of the point.
But you know, in a lot of places in the world, that's impossible. Like you close a business, the staff get fuck all. They might get a little bit from the government, but it's not going to be as much as they were earning because these countries are poorer, you know.
Been expensive for a lot of folks to have to live through this pandemic. So naturally, if the government is going to issue payment...
Live through the pandemic or live through the legislation and shit that was enacted during the pandemic. Like the difference between living through a pandemic and living through the government saying you got to close your business. Sorry, you can't go to work. Oh, sorry, you can't go out of the house. Sorry, you can't do this. They're two different things.
To help ease those expenses, it's going to be kind of costly too. The good news is we can afford it. Look at our defense budget, for God's sakes. We've got the means. Isn't it strange how when we think something is important enough...
So if everyone could afford it, why was it like inflation kind of went crazy after all this?
We always seem to find the money somewhere. Last year, during the election campaign, multiple Democratic candidates, including current Vice President Kamala Harris, proposed recurring monthly...
Just gotta say, if it's green, I don't know why it's green. Something weird's going on with my phone.
Payments for the duration of the pandemic to help people make ends meet. Then Senator Harris proposed sending out stimulus checks for $2,000 a month.
Yeah, fuck
Democratic politicians have an unfortunate habit of talking big during campaigns and then drastically scaling down their ambitions once they take office. But I think that $2,000 a month still sounds like a good idea. Just saying. Congress should also reinstate the national ban on evictions that was struck down by the Supreme Court this past summer. Establish the right for businesses to impose mask requirements and extend the pause on student loan payments past the May 1st extension.
Yeah, mask requirements when masks have never been proven to work. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Announced by President Biden, or better yet, permanently cancel all federal student loan debt.
Don't worry, if you prove me wrong, I'm not going to ban you and delete your comment like Steve Shives will, who has 8,000 views on this video and 3 comments. 3 comments.
I think additional emergency funding to public schools is needed too. School districts need more money, and the government needs to do a better job tracking where the money goes to make sure it's getting where it needs to be. And that means not only supporting students, but also meeting the needs of teachers who are struggling against the emotional and physical demands of this pandemic. Many teachers have...
Are they struggling against the emotional and physical demands of the actual pandemic, or are they struggling against the policies that are affecting their lives?
Already left the profession, and many of those who remain are barely hanging on.
And yeah, I don't know about America, can't comment, but like in some countries, Western countries, people, teachers and doctors and nurses and stuff like this would get fired did get fired unless they would take this vaccine, or if they didn't go along with the protocols, they got fired. Do you think that affected their fucking lives?
Teachers have to deal with the same pandemic the rest of us are living through. They have to educate and look after children who are coping with their own difficulties at school and at home. They have to deal with parents who are also struggling and sometimes are just assholes. Teachers need help. They need support. The federal government has already provided some of that support, but they can provide more, and they should, as soon as possible. Beyond those things, which I admit are unlikely to happen, but they sure would be nice, huh? I think an adjustment in the rhetoric coming from the Biden White House would be helpful. Recently, the president and his spokespeople have devoted a great deal of time to pushing those who haven't gotten vaccinated yet to do so, and warning them about the consequences if they don't. And look, I have no interest in coddling anti-vaxxers. If someone who is unvaccinated by choice gets sick with COVID, I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. But
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, fuck those cunts for not going along with it.
those who haven't been vaccinated are not the only problem here. According to an article published last week in Vanity Fair, the administration's insistence on pushing vaccination at every opportunity led it to dismiss a plan to implement a new nationwide testing strategy that would have distributed millions of rapid at-home COVID tests in time for the holidays, in the hopes of avoiding another surge of cases, which now seems inevitable. Last week, Biden announced that soon Americans will be able to request free rapid at-home COVID tests, which is great, but also too little, far too late. The vaccines are effective at reducing your risk of catching COVID and of getting
Show me the fucking study.
seriously ill if you do catch it, but
There is some evidence of that, but still, show me the study, because it seems a little bit sketchy how they got the evidence.
they aren't foolproof and they aren't magic bullets. Widespread, easily accessible, free testing is something that should have been available months ago. The thing is, even if you have been vaccinated and boosted, you should still be exercising caution, especially
Yeah, so what the fuck is the point in getting the vaccination and the booster then? And no, I didn't get any vaccination or booster. So fuck you, Steve.
when you're out in public among large groups. This pandemic is not over yet. People are still dying every day, often by the thousands in the United States. And that is a message the Biden administration has not been sending, but needs to be. Not to make it seem hopeless, not to say that this will never.
Like, fair enough, right? Okay, you did this right at the end of 2021, like literally 29th of December. Okay, but could you do a recap on this video and go, you know what, I was fucking wrong?
Be over, but to remind us all that it's not over yet, and we still need to take it seriously if we want it to end, really end.
No, if you want it to end, what? End what? End the pandemic, whatever, if you believe in it or not, that's up to you. It was there, or it wasn't there, or it was there in bits, or whatever. What was needed to end was the policies and the bullshit that was wrecking people's lives. Lockdowns, not letting people go to work, destroying businesses completely, like making everyone wear masks. Like, do you know how crazy? I remember how crazy it was, but I'd forgotten. And I saw someone in a shop recently, and I had to interact with them, and they had a mask on, and it was like, I remembered how weird it was, not seeing people's faces, and how much did that fuck up kids, do you think?
End as soon as possible. President Biden has said of the pandemic, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that's true. But he and his administration haven't been realistic when talking to the American people about how far away that light is, or what we need to do in order to ensure that we get there.
You know, one thing I'm happy about is at one point I was thinking, you know what? This is it. It's going to be one of those fucking crazy things that you see in history in certain countries where it's like 10 years of emergency law. like this stuff's happened before in many countries. Let's just be happy, or I'm happy that at least it wasn't one of these like permanent emergency situations. It was pretty fucking long, but it wasn't the final lockdown.
I know we're all exhausted after nearly 2 years of this. I know none of us is looking forward to a third year of it. I know we all just want things to go back to how
I wonder if this cunt's still getting boosters. I wonder if he's still getting boosters even today in 2025.
they were before this started. And I know our government officials,
I mean, really, he should be, right? To protect other people, you know?
even the generally competent and well-intentioned ones, are single-mindedly driving us in that direction, whether that's where we should be going or not.
Why is it
And
green?
I know
If I zoom in, it goes black.
many of you have lost people
If I
to this
drop
disease,
it back again,
or
it goes green.
seen those close to you get seriously ill and worried that you were going to lose them, or gotten sick yourself. A lot of you have had it really rough these last couple of years, and
Yeah, a lot of people have had it really rough, and did have it rough after this even, because of policies.
if you have survived to this point, that in itself is a victory. So where do we go from here with COVID? We keep surviving. We do what we can, and we demand our government do more to help us. And when we do finally get
What's up? I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Yeah, let's give the government even more power over our lives because they handled the whole COVID thing so fucking well, right?
through this, we remember what it was like, and we don't let things just go back to the way they were before. We keep fighting to make them better. Stay strong, stay safe, and I'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, stay strong, stay strong, stay safe, stay safe, stay strong, stay safe. Do whatever the government tells you to do. That's the best way. Fuck you, Steve. But yeah, actually, go check his if you like Star Trek, go to his channel, just look at his Star Trek videos, they're great.